Hello and welcome to another episode of Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is episode 109, and I'm recording on September 17th, 2025. It's been a little bit since I watched one of these movies, but last night I had to prep for a colonoscopy today. And so I was, otherwise preoccupied and just sat with my laptop watching this movie off the Internet Archive. So you're welcome for that visual. The movie this time was The Grapes of Wrath. And like I said, it was on the Internet Archive, so it was free. So this round has been fairly cheap. I think I had to rent. Well, I rented two, but both of them I had credits for on Amazon. So far it's $0 again for this round. The last year of Oscars was the first one where I got all the movies for free. So we'll see if we can do two in a row. Yeah, it looks like the winner is also on the Internet Archive. So yay. Anyway, The Grapes of Wrath is a 1940 American drama film directed by John Ford. It was based on John Steinbeck's 1939 Pulitzer Prize winning novel of the same name. The screenplay was written by Nunnally Johnson, and the executive producer was Darryl F. Zanuck. The film tells the story of the Joads, an Oklahoma family of sharecroppers who, after losing their farm to increased mechanization during the Great Depression in the 1930s, become migrant workers and end up in California. The motion picture details their arduous journey across the United States as they travel to California in search of work and opportunities for the family members, and features cinematography by Greg Toland. The film is widely considered to be one of the greatest films of all time. In 1989, it was one of the first 25 films selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the United States National Film Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Starring Henry Fonda, Jane Darwell, John Carradine, Shirley Mills, John Quaylen, Eddie Quillen. As I said, cinematography by Greg Toland, edited by Robert L. Simpson, music by Alfred Newman, distributed by 20th Century Fox. Released on January 24th, 1940, with a runtime of 129 minutes. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards and it won 2. It was nominated for Outstanding Production, Best Director, which it won, Best Actor, Henry Fonda, Best Supporting Actress for Jane Darwell, who won. She played Ma Jode. Best Screenplay, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound Recording. Differences from the novel in the first part of the film follows the book fairly closely. However, the second half and the ending in particular are significantly different from the book. While the book ends with the downfall and breakup of the Joad family, the film switches the order of sequences so that the family ends up in a good camp provided by the government and things turn out relatively well for them. In the novel, Rose of Sharon Rivers, played in the film by Doris Bowden, gives birth to a stillborn baby. Later, she offers her milk-filled breasts to a starving man dying in a barn. These scenes were not included in the film. While the film is somewhat stark, it has a more optimistic and hopeful view than the novel, especially when the Joads land at the Department of Agriculture camp, the Clean Camp. Also, the producers decided to tone down Steinbeck's political references such as eliminating a monologue using a landowner's description of Reds as anybody that wants 30 cents an hour when we're paying 25, to show that under the prevalent conditions, that definition applies to every migrant worker looking for better wages. The film emphasizes Ma Jode's pragmatic, forward-looking way of dealing with their situation despite Tom's departure, as it concludes with her spiritual "We're the People" speech. So I read this book probably about 20 years ago now. I don't remember where I got them, but I always liked Of Mice and Men is one of my favorite books. So I always liked John Steinbeck. At some point, I got my hands on a couple of his other books, Travels with Charlie being one of them, and Grapes of Wrath being another. So I read it. It wasn't even a book assignment at school. But I guess I really don't remember it at all because I didn't really remember the story and was wondering the whole time if they had changed a lot from the book. I guess they didn't. But I guess I didn't remember it being quite so close to of Mice and Men, which, just sort of a similar, it's obviously around the same time period. So it makes sense, but it's a similar sort of story. And I just didn't remember that at all. So this was, when this started, it was basically just Henry Fonda. And this is the first thing I've seen Henry Fonda in, other than like I've seen on Golden Pond. But as far as going through these movies, this is the first thing I've seen him in. And at the beginning, there's like kind of a long scene with just him and John Carradine. It was awesome. I was thinking like this is sort of the more, things are moving towards the more sort of naturalistic acting that I like, as opposed to the more affected accents and sort of over the top acting, and that kind of came out of theater in the earlier movies. And I was really liking it. And then they introduced like a guy that they met who had a farm that was taken away, and he was explaining why all the farmers were leaving. And then we meet the Joad family, and it was like a series of over the top performances from several of the side characters. And I was like, oh. But one that surprised me was the guy, Charlie Grapeline. He played the grandfather in this, and he was Uncle Henry in Wizard of Oz just the year before this, but he looked so much older in this, and he was like way over the top as the grandfather character. But that being said, things sort of evened out as the movie went on, and the performances were a little more muted. But Henry Fonda was great. He was amazing. John Carradine's very good. He's been in several of the other movies that I've watched in this series, and they together, they were just really good. I gave this 4 stars. I think I was kind of going between 3.5 and 4. And I think, the 3.5 to 4 difference was the sort of the side performances, but I think Henry Fonda's performance pushed it to a 4 for me. Not a perfect movie, maybe. I mean, the National Film Registry and Library of Congress may disagree, but it was very, very good. It's in another year of good movies. This one stands out. I also gave Philadelphia Story 4 stars. I gave The Great Dictator 5 stars. All This in Heaven 2, I gave 3.5. So not too many. There's only one I didn't really, 2 and 2.5. What did I give those? No, I gave Our Town 2 stars. I did not like that. And The Long Voyage Home, I didn't really care for that either. So anyway, one more left for this year. Hoping I can get to it this coming weekend and finish out this year of movies and move on to the next one. I don't think I'm going to hit my goal of watching 100 of these before the end of 2025, including, the snubbed movies. I mean, so far I've watched 49, and it's taken me through the middle of September to do so. So to get another 51 movies in, I mean, that's not including some, so it's a little over 40. It's a little over 50 with the snub movies that I've watched, but still nearly 50 movies that I'd have to get through. I was really kind of hoping to get to, and maybe I could still do this. I was trying to get to the point where it's no longer 10 movies a year. 41 and 43 both have 10 movies, and 42 has 9 movies. So I might be able to get through all of those. And that was really kind of my main goal. Getting to 100 would be nice, just because there's so many of these and I want to get through them. But if I could at least get to the point where there's only 5 movies per year up until, 2009, 2008, when they changed it again, that would be good, because then I can, in theory, in the same amount of time it's taken me to get through 1 year of movies, I could get through 2. So, just trying to get to that point at least. So I'll leave it there. Grapes of Wrath was pretty good. I have Rebecca left, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. So we'll see if it deserved to win. See you next time.